Okay, and hello there,
We
Luke
are live.
darling.
What is cooking, dude? Happy
Look, there's a
Friday.
lot of things going on, man, and I don't think that people are seeing it. I know that we like to focus on technology and artificial intelligence, but yesterday the Feds met. They reduced long-term rates again by 25 basis points, and once again, interest rates went up.
Right?
Like, what does that tell you?
Baked in the cake. I mean,
They
they're anticipated. I mean, they're what they said. They're pretty sure they were going to have another one in December, right? So,
So right now, inflation is like 3%, 2.8. I can't remember what it is. I think
yeah,
it's like
I think
let's
you're
call
right.
it 2.8. Their target is 2%. So no, it's 2.6. Their target is 2%. So they are. Is it 2% or 2.4? Anyways, it's not 2%. It's higher than 2%. What's
Right.
interesting with that is if in fact inflation was less than 2%, they would be freaking out and they would be cutting rates to or increasing rates. But now that it's over 2%, it doesn't seem like the logic works on both sides of the equation.
I always thought it was like I always thought the target was three-ish percent, but are you talking about the like
The
a
inflation, the
recent
CPI.
estimate that they were going for? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the CPI, their standard is like if the 2% is like perfect, which by itself doesn't make any sense. As a consumer, as a person who like lives on this planet, I'm not okay with just let's just bake into the pipe that prices are just going to be 2% more compounding for the rest of eternity.
Forever.
That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know how that makes sense to anyone. What I think they've done is made our population stupid.
Well, yeah, that's a given.
Yeah. Let's convince people that it's better to spend 2% each year.
95% of the general public probably has no clue what you're even talking about.
You're probably right. You're probably right. The other thing, and which is probably even a higher percentage of don't know what we're talking about, is when we start looking at gold. It's like gold support is now 4,000. It's like at 3,950 or something like that. It peaked out at 4,300, and then now it's I don't know. It could be over 4,000 again as of right now, but as of like yesterday, I think it closed at 3,950, which is weird because in 2000 and when was that? Like in the 2000s, it was like gold was like 400. So we're now at 4,000. What was that? Let's look at that.
What was the price when we went off of the gold standard?
Oh, it was like $60 or something. Anyways, gold prices have fluctuated dramatically through history from a fixed price. Oh, this is right. So everyone wants to compare the 1980s to now, which you really can't, especially when it comes to CPI, especially when it comes to a lot of these official metrics. Unemployment's another one. But even though the reports are named the same thing, the math has been changed like 10 different times.
Right.
So I was looking at it in the 1980s, gold per ounce was like $40. Now gold's like $4,000 per ounce. And to your answer, when because it came up in the same answer, the price per ounce under the Bretton Woods system until 1971 was $35. So how much was gold when the US went off the gold standard? It is it didn't
Well,
answer.
that was it, right? I mean, what
Maybe I should ask Grok.
they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa! You're going down the wrong path here,
Yeah,
sir.
it didn't even answer it.
Ah, the woke GPT. They're like, you stop asking
Yeah.
real questions. Go be mad about.
Went off the gold standard. That's the great thing about Grok. You can just ask it anything and it'll tell you. You're right. It was $35 per ounce.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That was, right?
That's nuts. That's, what is that, 100 times? More than 100 times of where we were from 1971 to current. No wonder someone could buy a house for... I remember reading that in the 1970s and 80s that you could buy a house at 2.5 times your annual wage.
Yeah.
And now it's like 10.
Right.
But anyways, with that being said, lead generation solves all problems.
just work harder.
Well, I don't even know if it's
Absolutely.
working harder as it is what you and I would refer to as just aligning with the modern consumer. What other people would say is just working smarter. Have I ever told you the story about the two colors of telephones that I've embedded into my talk tracks when I talk to real estate agents?
No.
Okay. So we know our audience. And I said, and let me prove this to you. Each one of us grew up with one of two color phones. It was either canary yellow or it was like this really nasty looking puke kind of green. I said they hung on our wall and you may or may not have had a corkboard on it. And it was a rotary phone. I said, but we each had like a 200-yard cord. So you could walk around the room and find your way for privacy. And I said, why is it that when the phone rang, everybody ran for it? And everyone automatically says, well, we want to find out who's calling. I said, exactly. Curiosity. You didn't know who was calling. I said, what happened when you find out who's on the phone? Like who's calling? They were like, well, what do you want? I'm like, of course. Who's calling? What do you want? I said, that behavior is still embedded into us all. I said, the problem is that we now have these supercomputers in our pocket that have every single phone number that you could possibly call or that could be possibly called you. So the who is it, that's already answered. And we all know that if it comes up unidentified, you don't know who it is. It's most likely what? And they all say, someone trying to sell. Well, I'm talking to salespeople here.
Yeah.
And the people who should always answer their phone. And yet when I take a poll, who answers every single one of your calls? You get the people who are lying that raise their hand because that's impossible to answer every single one of your calls. But most people, they send it to voicemail. And so that's my talk track in. That gives you insight on how effective traditional methods work. If traditional methods still work, Dyson would be still selling home vacuums door to door.
Right.
Tesla wouldn't be selling cars online. So
yeah,
that's what we're going into with the two phone.
I love that. It's so true. It's shocking to me how many agents do just flat out do not answer their phone. And I mean, I get it. I'm personally the same way, but I've structured my entire business of not even having inbound phone calls, like period.
You see, but I'm not shocked. And the reason why I'm not shocked is because aside from their profession, they're still human. And we know that no human wants to be pressure sold. So when somebody's calling you unidentified, I think not just the perception, all that you don't want to take, is highly probable.
Right.
Especially when we start looking at the way that people communicate. One of the things that we look at in the data is we know that 90% of sellers use an agent, and we also know that 81% of those sellers only meet with one agent before they choose an agent. We also know that the most important attribute to a seller is having someone who has a reputation for being honest and trustworthy, and they're choosing their agent based on who they know, like, and trust. Now we tie into the factor that 100% of consumers are using the internet during their home purchase and sale. And we also, you tie all of these behaviors together. We also know that home buyers and sellers are researching the internet for anywhere between 6 and 10 weeks before they're even willing to talk to an agent. Now it starts painting a picture.
Right.
You tell me your opinion on this, and I think we're going to be aligned on it. The people who are saying, call me for more information, they're not getting called. The people who have text me, DM me, send me an email, those different forms of communication that didn't exist early until the 80s, actually more like till the 90s, that didn't even happen. So I think that it doesn't surprise me. I think like I always say that answering the phone to an unidentified call is like accepting certified mail. There's nothing good to come out of it.
I should walk my comments back. I'm not surprised at all. Sometimes nothing surprises me anymore. I mean, real estate agents I would be willing to guess they're probably the most solicited profession out there. Like, there is more businesses, companies, more people with more stuff to sell to real estate agents than I think anything else.
Why do you think that is? Because when you look at the data, not the average real estate agent is not wealthy. In fact, it's probably the opposite of that. I can't remember the number. While you're talking, I'll look up that number, but I can't remember what it is. But why do you think that is?
The sheer volume of real estate agents makes it a larger, pool to, total addressable market. So there's that. There's more money tied to the overall transaction of the industry. So there's margin there to tap into. Accessibility of those folks too. I mean, not, they're, as much, as much normal day-to-day business is. I mean, they have their stuff, but like, you can't call an attorney and just ring right through to them.
Yeah.
You're going to go into their front office or through some sort of hoops, and they protect their time because obviously they have a literal dollar value attached to it.
Yeah.
Whereas, so number of things, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a big market. There's a lot of money in real estate.
So this is what it says: the National Association of Realtors, median gross income for realtors from real estate activities was $55,800 in 2023. For realtors with 16 years, and I have the most recent data, but it doesn't change drastically. Realtors with 16 years or more experience, median is 92,500. Those with 2 years or less earn a median income of just 8,100. And again, those are 2023 statistics.
2 years or less was 8,100.
8,100.
No wonder there's a 80% attrition in a 5-year span.
Yeah.
What's the total number of active agents these days?
I just typed that in as well. Thank you for asking.
Or just licensed agents. Let's.
Membership was reported in October 31st. So a year ago today was reported at 1.526, 1.527 if you round up. So 1.5 million.
1.5 million.
Yeah. So here's my take on it from being an operator. I trained and I recruited a lot of real estate agents locally, and here's my personal take on it. I feel, based on both my numbers and my viewpoint, I feel that 50% of the agents who get into the business are unclear of what they're getting themselves into. They're not cut out for it. No different than anything else. It takes a right type of personality to succeed in any type of commission-based sales industry. I also believe that the other half are pointed in the wrong direction, provided the wrong activities for modern times. And I equate that to, if you want to go north, and I picked north because if you want to increase your income, your way of life, that's typically a graph that goes up. So let's go north. If you want to go north, no matter how hard you try, no matter how many hours you put into it, if you take off going west, you're never going to hit there. And that really equates to the conversation that you and I always have is you're doing the wrong activities. You're doing the activities that push people away, not attract them. And that's what sales is, no matter where you go.
One of the biggest problems I think with just mortgage and real estate is, there's a handful of things, but some of the reasons why those I feel like those numbers are so low. Vast majority of them, even years into the deal, they don't realize they're in the sole business of marketing and sales. That's it. And no, I do mortgages, right? You're like, well, no, you do mortgages.
That's the activity that you do. That's the service you provide.
That's the product that you're selling. But you're a salesperson. You're selling money. You're selling a dream. You're selling, the idea. So it's surprising to me, and I keep saying surprising. It's not surprising to me anymore, but it's surprising when people don't have the grasp of that.
No.
Well into a good period of time, you're like, maybe you should invest some energy into sales skills. I personally shouldn't, I'm tech, I'm marketing, sales. I shouldn't be needing to teach people sales, but so many of them need it. And like you said, you can't get there, you can't get going north, going west. When all these new folks come in, they're going over, the rules and regulations. Zero energy, time, effort, money is spent on how to actually function and grow your business. And
it's funny that you bring that up. I was talking to a group of leaders and they got on the subject of contract classes, how to write an offer. And they're upset that people aren't taking them. I said, well, that doesn't surprise me. Well, they're like, well, why doesn't that surprise you? I said, the only reason why an agent would actually take a contract class is if they need to write a contract. I said, that's it. For you to actually force somebody in it too early, they're not going to retain that information. They're probably not even going to get the information because their mind's already gone somewhere else.
No.
And that's the same thing with disclaimers and disclosures and anything. You seek out the information when you need it.
Yeah.
There are those few people who just want to have busy work and I used to be one of those. Get ready. And I still challenge my personality, my analytical personality.
Right.
I still have to catch myself. But it's it's mind-boggling even more. I'll kind of add on to what you had said. What's more mind-boggling is when you ask somebody, when they say that I'm in the business of selling real estate, I'm like, really? Why do you sell real estate? And then you walk back on it. Well, I do it because I like to show houses. I'm like, no, do you take a vacation to go show houses? No. Okay, well then that's not it. That's not a pastime.
Right.
And it comes down to earning money. And then when you reverse engineer that, well, what do you need to do if you earn money? I need to have a closing. Okay, in order to have a closing, got to have a client. Okay, we're getting somewhere. In order to have a client, you got to have an appointment, a conversion appointment. Okay. In order to have that, you have to have a lead. Okay. What do you have to have a lead? And then, now it comes down to the activities. Now it comes down to activities and marketing and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so to your own point of view, if you want a commission, the first thing is you have to generate a lead, either by activities, marketing, prospecting. And they're saying yes. And I said, okay, so if you want to have more commissions, then would it make sense that you have to have more leads? And they're like, yes. And I said, so are you really good at what you do that if you get one lead, that equals one commission? No. Okay. So if you want to have more commissions, you need to have more leads than you do commissions. Yes. Okay. Like, how much more simple can we get here?
Yeah.
And look, I actually don't, and we've talked about this too. I don't think that skills are the most important thing. I think the most important thing right now is to generate leads, because what's the point in practicing role playing and script and negotiating if you don't have anyone to service? Like, I would say that it's most important to focus time, effort, and resources to generate a lot of leads, because look, even the good real estate agents aren't that great at sales. So, but even a blind squirrel will get a nut every now and then. If you have 10 leads that are coming in, chances are one of them is going to close in spite of you and your skills.
Yes.
So work
100%.
on getting a bunch of leads and then work on your skills and systems to increase your conversion metrics. That's what I think.
Control the controllables. It's the, what do you have full control over? And that's like your actions, your daily actions. And just to boil it down, like a simple, very easy to understand, like if you were to just say phone calls, make 100 phone calls, right? Like go through, make 100 phone calls. That's it. Like that's a completely controllable thing that you can do. And obviously that's just to simplify the point, but yep. Control the controllables. I always used to, when I was having my cold call, like outbound team, I'm like, I don't care what your results are. Like, you don't worry about the results. You just worry about the actions. Are you doing the actions?
Hey, are you still running? Are you still running your outbound prospecting program?
No, but I'm about to fire it back up though, because I've ran I had that. I got all whooped up on AI, basically fired my entire sales team, and then which was retarded in hindsight, but it happened. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. I was booking B2B phone calls for like $3, $4, $5.
Were you booking B2B phone calls
AI
with the first interaction as a cold dial?
Cold outbound AI call.
And then what were the conversions of those meetings?
Shockingly good, because it was like, hey, you know what? Just called you to schedule this appointment. Would you like that in your business?
Well, but it wasn't going cold. It may have been a cold outreach, but there was a discovery period. Remember when we used to do the evaluations back in the day? It's like, we're going to need to evaluate. Let us send you some information so you can get to know us and what we do, and then do that follow-up closing call. Are you modeling that same process?
So I have at times, during that time, it was going direct to a booked one-on-one phone call demo. So it was like, here's all the information that you're going to need on this call to make a decision. We're not chasing, we're not following up. This is it. So
and that worked out well.
It was, yeah. I mean, it was like, they already experienced the product to get to there.
Okay. So that validates my philosophy that there are two components that any consumer needs to have before they can make a commitment or a decision. Mm-hmm. And that is, number one, what do you get? And number two, what do you pay? Right. So I think those two variables, without those two variables, a consumer can't calculate value. And I think that if you take somebody into a sales conversation, I learned this when I was an operator in real estate. If I brought in a real estate agent and they didn't know, they knew all the great stuff that we're doing. We got this, we got training, we got coaching, we got,
Right.
but it doesn't, and they didn't know what the compensation structure was.
Yeah.
It was a better chance than not that 2-hour meeting is going to end up in I need to think about it.
Right.
Whereas if they know those variables going into it, number one, if they know what you do and what it costs and they're still coming into a meeting, that's really great. So that kind of goes into what you were saying is that, look, there's no question that if there's a consumer doesn't know what they don't know, they don't know what they need, and a lot of that has to do with these digital strategies, then they're not going to go and search for it. So that influence is you having that outbound caller to just plant that seed. That's all. That's the only thing that the cold call is, that initial outreach. It's not meant to do a first call close. I don't even know if that even exists anymore.
No, I don't think outbound. I mean, an outbound cold call to an actual close, the chances of that are probably pretty slim. I mean, we had our sales process. Like, it would call as soon as it booked a phone call, it would book directly into high level. They get the reminders. It also send them some like YouTube videos on stuff where they could review some things before the call. So they already had testimonies, proof, physical, firsthand experience of it actually working.
Sure.
Because it called them. So there was a lot of a lot of demonstrated proof beforehand. And but yeah, there's now I'm just running a weekly webinar right now for sales. It's always
that is the version of going back to the basics in 2025.
Yep.
That's what that is. Hey, before our time comes up, do you have a hard stop at the top of the hour?
I do.
Okay. I want to get your point on Zillow and ChatGPT, and then the Atlas browser. I want to get your thoughts on that.
So I mean, we should probably unpack this for a full call, but looking at those 1.52 million real estate agents, I see that being cut in half in the next 36 months. It's just the advancement that we've seen in such a short period of time. I mean, a buyer can literally on their phone get every single bit of information that they need to make a real estate decision without ever talking to an agent.
If they know the questions to ask. And I think that is where there's opportunity, but we should unpack that. But we're at the top of the hour. Let's not get into it, because I know that what you and I will do is we'll just go down the rabbit hole. So
let's hammer that one out next time.
All right. I'm going to make a note that we're going to hammer out the ChatGPT, Zillow, and Atlas browser that they came out with.
Beautiful, man.
All right, man. Make a great day.
Weekend.
Bye.
Bye.